Hey everyone, Gameaholik here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new event, Dark Relics. Okay, so Dark Relics are now out. It is past the 14th of August and we're going to be going through the patch notes today. So first we'll talk about the Dark Relic Voyages, and they are part of the Order of the Souls, and what's been happening is that someone's been stealing the ritual schools and other bits and pieces, that obviously the Dark Relics, and it is our job to go back across the seas and find them and then return them back to the Order of the Souls. Duke again is commissioning these missions, so they are working together, and yeah, it's pretty cool. There is a little bit of Order of the Souls style, a little bit of X marks the spot to dig up as well. Some really cool items that I like the look of, and you get paid well for them as well. If you didn't already know, these are limited time. It's every month, and I do believe in the developer update they said that the next one's going to be the September 11th, I think is the date. So you've got until then to get all your commendations done for the Dark Relics, and also those limited time cosmetics, which are mercenary this time. The Voyages themselves cost 5 doubloons. I do believe once you've done the first couple, you do get your commendation, you get 10 back. But now there is another method to get doubloons as well, which we'll talk about in a little while. There's also a Dark Relic Athena's Voyage for Pirate Legends to do as well. These are 10 doubloons instead, and they do yield more Dark Relics. Because I was going to get to it, but there are 5 different ones to collect, and it's no guarantee that you'll get the correct one each time, so it's not a guarantee, it's all RNG. So you may have to do the missions, even when you've done your commendations, you may have to do them over and over again. You're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to run out of doubloons. Like I say, we'll get to that bit in a minute. So the rewards and the commendations for this time are Mercenary Cannon, Mercenary Wheel, and Mercenary Capstan. So that will complete part of the set if you've been collecting them as we've been going along doing the mercenary voyages, so that's going to get definitely towards getting the full set eventually. Now we move on to what I was talking about. There is now a Reaper's chest. What happens is there's a little light that pops up out the sea. They are in sunken shipwrecks. Collect them, and then once you've collected them, the little dots will follow you about as you go. So if whoever's holding it basically on your ship is then on the map, seen by other players as well. These do have a little cool effect. I do like them actually. Looks quite cool. These also need to be handed in to Duke, and he will pay you, I think it is 15 doubloons at the moment. So that is how you're going to be able to get extra doubloons in case you need to do extra missions once you've done your commendations, just to get that last piece or that last Dark Relic that you may need. The usual titles are there as well, and they've also got quite a few quality of life improvements, which we'll talk about next. Okay, so the quality of life things are that the ranged and melee hit detection has been improved. They spoke about it previously. It is now apparently been improved. Can't say for definite I can see a difference just yet. There is now a random chance to get a rowboat with a harpoon on the front. Did get one last night. Very interesting. And just attach it to the back of your sloop if you was, or whatever ship you're using. Don't forget to pull it back in though, because if you don't pull it back in, you will unsnap and then you're just left out and you've got a rowboat to wherever you've got to go. Yeah, very fun. Barrels of Plenty. Wow, these are definitely changed. So they can now have gunpowder, they can have mermaid gems, messages in the bottle, merchant crates, artifacts, skulls, chests. They're not inside the barrels themselves, they are next to them. So be careful when riding over them in your ship, because if they have gunpowder there, they are going to blow your ship up. As mentioned in the developer update, you could use these if you're being chased perhaps and skim them and then move over to left or right depending on which way you're being chased by, and you could potentially catch some other following pirates off guard. So the two things they changed on the harpoon are that you can now harpoon meat, and you could also harpoon kegs. So gunpowder kegs will now latch on to your harpoon, and so will the meat. Hopefully they don't go off, because in the past they used to go off. You could put them on and then you blew up your ship. There are some new puzzle locations for the legendary storyteller and Fate of the Morning Star Tall Tales. They have made matchmaking improvements in the arena. There are some specialized controller look dead zone configurations that you can do, and also controller responsive curve. I don't know much about that either. Improvements to muting other players. So especially for the arena, when you get, unfortunately, sometimes you'll get someone who's just mashing out the music. You don't really want to be hearing that. Now apparently you can just individually mute said player. Another one, and I think again is more for the arena, you can now scramble people's or replace people's gamer tags. So if you have someone who you're playing with and you're streaming, for example, and you don't really want to let their name go out into the public, then you can then put this option on and it should scramble or give them a different name. You can also hide the crew's gamer tags as well, and there's some key binding for hiding non-crew gamer tags. So this isn't going to improve stealth or anything like that. It's not going to physically get rid of your gamer tag. It's just going to do it for your benefit if you are streaming, for example. There's a couple of game balancing that I'll just quickly go through. So there is now a chance to get Stronghold Keg Skeletons in the world. That's very interesting. And it says here on the notes that pirate legends will now encounter the threat of a lumbering skeleton wielding a devastating stronghold keg when tackling a pirate legend voyage. So be prepared to run. So unless you're doing Athenas, I would guess, then maybe you ain't going to see these naturally in the world. It just looks like it's going to be for Athenas only. Skeleton Lord ability chaining. So the Skeleton Lords encountered during Tall Tales and now use their abilities in sequence to aid them in combat. For example, a Skeleton Lord can now initiate a knockback and summon reinforcements or teleport to a new location, or both, before players can recover. So that's interesting. Gunpowder Skeletons have been reduced on all islands. That, I think, has been much needed for a while. The Emergent Skeletons as well. When freely exploring the world outside of the constraints of a voyage, the difficulty of Emergent Skeletons has been reduced to ensure newer players have a safer time exploring. For players on a voyage, ranked appropriate Emergent Skeletons will still spawn to challenge you and your crew. So if you're at a higher rank, those skeletons are going to be higher if you're on a voyage. If you're not on a voyage, doing what we call the free roam, then you shouldn't see them as much, which is a good thing as well if you're recording from a stance of a creator, because then what can happen sometimes, you're trying to capture something and then you get attacked, you have to stop and fight them and so on and so on. So that's going to be quite an interesting enhancement there. Skeleton difficulty across the higher ranks. On higher rank voyages, crews will encounter fewer skeletons with large health pools and instead face off more skeletons in waves, reducing the frustration for those longer, more drawn out skeleton encounters. And finally, the sloop has been improved a little bit when you go through the storm. The effects on handling the sloop have been reduced and the wheel will be pulled less aggressively. There's a lot of fixed issues as well. If you want to go over to the Sea of Thieves website and have a look for yourself, there is a hell of a lot of them down below. I'm not going to go through all of those right now. I just wanted to go through what was new. Tell me what your favourite feature is in the comment section, what you like, what's your favourite thing that they've added to the game. For me, I'm going to go probably with the Gunpowder Skeletons on the Pirate Legend Voyage. It's going to be quite interesting to see how that plays out, because if you don't catch it in time, that could be quite devastating. So there's a recap of all the developer update video stuff that he spoke about, and also the patch notes all in one. If it has been useful or helpful or interesting, then please do consider liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing. Have a great rest of your voyages and take care.